Hello friends, welcome back. So this is the fourth video of a series called AWS Solution Architect Associate. In the prior video we have discussed about the VPC introduction and the key component of VPC. Now we are going to set up a custom VPC where we are going to set up multiple subnets, route tables, internet gateway. So this is the architecture we are going to replicate same with AWS VPC. So I'm going to use uh, AWS VPC and create one VPC with the name of any tag VPC, and I'm going to use same IP address block on VPC with 10.0.0/16. In public subnet going to use 10.1 and private one would be 10.2. So navigate to my AWS account and I'm going to use this VPC. Whenever you set up VPC, must make sure that you select the right region. In this I use US East 1 North Virginia. You can use your selective or required VPC version, or we can say the location. So to create a VPC, just click on the create VPC. Here there are two ways we can consider VPC only and VPC and more. If I select VPC more, it is similar to kind of select and create option, like it is more easier way, like select the project VPC, the what are the different subnet component that you want to create, route table and network connection. So similar to it's a kind of easy way to set up this. So I'm going to show you the classic way and uh, the correct way of to set up the VPC. So we have more options. So first I'm going to set up VPC only, and the name of the VPC, as I mentioned, I'm going to use tech VPC. You can use your correct naming convention. This is the IP4 CIDR for the VPC /16 class B notation. I'm not going to use any IPv6. Tenancy we can consider it as the how your VPC performance would be there. It's this default one. If you provide the dedicated, it's additionally cost applied to that VPC. So I'm going to use default tag. I created it as a create VPC. When you create the VPC, some components are being created automatically. So let's conclude. First, just navigate to subnets. There is no additionally subnet would be there. Here you can see there are two route tables and one route table automatically create and associate with the tag VPC. So when you create the VPC, route table automatically created. Internet gateway is already there. Let me directly navigate to ACL. Here you can see one ACL created under tag VPC. So whenever you create your custom VPC, one route table and network ACL automatically created with VPC. So now I'm navigate to subnets. As in diagram, we can see public subnet and private subnet, and public subnet is having 10.1, private is having 10.0.2. So let me create. Select the VPC, tag VPC. It's pub sn availability zone. What are the availability zone that you want to prefer? There is no preference. If you want to prefer with any particular availability zone, you can. Now the CIDR value of the VPC is 10.0.0.0/16. So your CIDR for subnet should be less than your VPC. So here I just put 1.0/16. If I choose, for example, /15 and try to create, here you can see the IPv4 block must be 16 to 28. I cannot choose less than 16 because 16 is the CIDR block for my parent VPC. So I'm going to use /24. That means 256 IP address. Create subnet. So public subnet is created under TAC VPC. Let me create one more. I'm going to use PVT SN. No preference. VPC ID would be same. 10.0.2.0/16. Sorry, /24. So there are total 256 IP address allocated with this subnet. So 2 subnets has been created. Let me refresh. Now we have created subnets and the using their CIDR values. Now we are going to create a root table. One root table automatically create and associate with TAC VPC. Let me rename this to public RT, public root table. And I'm going to associate public subnet with this root table. Edit subnet association. And I'm going to use public subnet. Now, when you create when you select the root, one root for local communication automatically being created, because you can see 10.0.0/16 is target would be local and it is active. Now, I'm going to create a new root table with PVT root table. Going to select TAC VPC, create root table. Now there are 2 root tables for TAC VPC, and I'm a associate subnet with private. So there are 2 VPCs, public and private. Subnet association. As you can see, when I add private root table and edit the subnet association with public, automatically this public subnet association has been released from the public root table. So as I mentioned earlier, one subnet can only associate with one root table. So let me associate this subnet again. Okay, so public root table and subnet association is public and private is private. Now we have internet gateway. from the scenario, we can consider we have set up the subnet, we have set up the root table. Now we need to being communicated externally, we need to have internet gateway, and that must be associated with the root table in which you want to access from external traffic. For example, if I need to access internet on public subnet, I need to associate root uh, with using internet gateway. If any external traffic comes to my public subnet, it should be passed through the internet gateway to my public subnet. Okay, so I am going to create a new sub internet gateway. Let's say tech VPC IGT. I use the similar naming convention so I can easily understand what this particular uh, resource, or we can say the term created. Now create the tech VPC. Now internet gateway is created now, but it's not attached to any VPC. Let me attach to VPC. To attach it, we need to select and attach to VPC, tag VPC. So we created some of the component like subnet, ACL, root table, router, and internet gateway. But now we are going to attach each thing. But before that, let me try to create an instance on public and private, whether they are being communicated externally or not. So for that, I'm just going to open EC2. We have some upcoming tutorials on EC2. But before that, I'm just going to explain that EC2 is one of the key component service where we can create instance, or we can the virtual. It is the additional version of the virtual machines we created under the Solus Hyper-V or VMware. So it is again a cloud platform where we can create the instance. So let me create one instance on public. As far as we didn't attach any root table internet gateway to define any internet gateway to root table, let validate whether it's working or not. My public machine, public instance, let me select the Ubuntu. Let me create create the key pair. Let me launch again. Public instance, this Ubuntu. Create new key pair. Let me say it's a EC2 instance, and I'm going to export with PPK. I will explain all the terms in my upcoming videos on EC2 instance. But meantime, just understand, I generate one key pair. Here we need to change default VPC to tag. As I mentioned earlier that by default one Amazon create one VPC and it attach as a default. So I'm going to select this tag VPC. There are two subnets. I'm going to create this public subnet. Auto assign public IP. Automatically it shows disabled. To auto assign a public IP, we need to change in subnet, which I'm going to explain now. Like as of now, I'm just going to select enable. To change the auto public IP address setting, select the subnet and edit the subnet setting. Here you need to enable this or enable auto assign public IP address. So automatically whenever the machines created under this subnet called public subnet, automatically public IP address associate with that particular machine. Now we are going to create one security group, as this security group also need to create it. So I'm just going to name a public instance SG. And what are the port that you want to allow, that port number SSH? You can define port or service, port number TCP, SSH, anywhere, custom or my IP address. If I select my IP address, my public IP automatically detect and use in under this. And the disk and other stuff. So let me launch the instance. So here I have created VPC, subnets and root table, and the internet gateway. But under internet gateway, I never defined, like I didn't define that this instance would communicate externally using this internet gateway. So I didn't mention any root. So let me validate whether it is accessible on port number 22. So to access the instance using SSH, we have put the configuration and it is Ubuntu. So by default Ubuntu username is there, and also I need to have that key. So here we can see since I'm not able to communicate on port number 22, network connection timeout. So as an external user, I can't connect the public associated instance. So how it possible? So let me create one root under public root table. This is public root table, roots and edit roots. 000, it should be internet gateway, tag VPC, and save changes. Now let me click on OK, restart the session. So here I can communicate from external using public IP address. Okay, so this is my public instance. Similar way, let's create a private instance, whether it's been communicated or not. Instance, launch instance. Private instance, Ubuntu, key pair, let me use same EC2 instance, or you can also create the new separate for different. Security group, create a security group, but before that we need to change the VPC from default to tag VPC. Here we need to select the private subnet. So private subnet is already there, and here the public IP address disable, as also we don't require to have public IP address on the private infrastructure. So let me give the name like private SG. and SSH should be accessible from custom, and it should be accessible from the public instance only, because we are not going to external from access SSH from the external. So if you want to select a security group, or the we have multiple options. We can give a public or private IP address of our public instance, or else we can define security group of public subnet. So let me just scroll down this. Here we have option called security group. So let me select public instance security group. So here what happened, my instance of private instance is only accessible from the public instance. To connect SSH of private instance, what I need to do, I need to take SSH of my public instance, and from public instance I can communicate to my private. Let me create a new key pair, because it's again from Linux to from Ubuntu to Ubuntu, it should be required a PEM, or else I need to convert PPK to PEM. So let me create the new one, like private EC2 key. Sorry, it's a KT. So I can just directly copy this key and connect using that. Launch. So let me navigate to instances. Now there are two instances, private and public. Private is still being in pending state. Meantime, I'm just copying this key content, opening this file into Notepad, copy this content, and I'm create one file called key.pem. Extension should be PEM, and I'm just paste here. Also need to change the permissions. Switch mode 0400 key.pem. So need to have a permission with 0400. Let me check, will it work? So here you can see under private instance there is no public IP address, and only private IP address is there. Let me access using SSH-I key name key.pem. Username is Ubuntu. Sorry, ubuntu@. Let me increase this font. So I use SSH-I key.pem and Ubuntu @private IP. This is the private IP address, and it's it's included with the prefix of the private subnet. So here you can see, consider. Now the question is, we didn't define anything on the root table, then how it being communicated? But as I mentioned earlier, root table, whenever you create root table on VPC, automatically one root created for the same VPC. The destination 10.0.0.0/16, it should be target local. That means whatever the subnet types are being created under the common VPC, it's automatically being communicated on the private. Okay, so this is the basically one structure of we seen under this. Like we create a subnet, security group, root table, router, we define a rules on router, private internet gateway. Now we are going to use this ACL. let me just navigate to network issue. Here we can see one ACL is already associated with the VPC. Inbound rule by default, you can consider all 100 rule with 100, all the traffic, all we define as allowed, and outbound or same inbound and outbound. We can edit, we can create a rule like add rule. If the number is higher than the previous one, then it will not override. But if I use like 99, and if I say all traffic blink block, or we can say deny, then all the things has been denied. So it should be the numeric, the proper numeric way. We can all traffic, the custom TCP UDP port or SSH or a telnet, and we can define allow or deny. So I'm not going to change anything, but if you want, you can. So this is the basic setup of VPC with private and public subnet. In the next videos, we are going to use uh, let how the private instance can have the internet. Let me this is my private instance, and let me check the if internet is available or not. Google.com. So here you can see there is no internet connectivity. If you want to provide internet connectivity to private instance, not the public IP address, I'm talking about the internet connectivity, how you can allocate your VPC internet connectivity to private instance for the internet connectivity for any patch update, or if you want to download anything. But if I allow internet connectivity, that doesn't make that it is communicated directly using public IP address. Likewise, the PCs on home PC or the office PC, we are assigning the private IP address to them, but those machines are communicated on the using internet, so they are able to serve an internet connectivity, but we are not going to allocate a public IP address to them. For that we are going to use net gateway. Okay, so this is the concept of the in future. Also we are going to use like the DHCP component. Also we have one video on VPC. So we'll release those videos with this tutorial series on VPC. It is the sub series of the main our AWS Solution Architect Associate. So this is the overall concept of the VPC infrastructure. Hope you guys like this video series, and thank you for watching this. Kindly subscribe the channel. Thank you very much.